Welcome to episode 92 of the So Video Games podcast, where we talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. If we are playing it, we will be talking about it. Today, we are recording on July 26, 2018. That's right, the exact same day we recorded our last podcast. My name is Brad Gallaway. I am the editor of GameCritics.com, and I am 50% of this here show. With me, as always, Corey Motley, staff writer at Game Critics. Corey, how you doing, sir?
I am doing well. I feel like you and I are both like speeding bullets on recording today. We're going as fast as we can, for reasons which you will explain very shortly.
That is absolutely 100% true because, dear listeners, if you caught the mid-year check-in episode that was published right before this one, episode 91, then you will know that we are recording episodes 91 and 92 in an unusual way because of scheduling conflicts. We end up having to do both episodes on the same day, but we are going to release them a week apart because we had a week coming up where we could not get together to record. So we didn't want to leave you high and dry without an episode. So we figured we would do two in one day and then space them out so that you guys, our favorite people, our dear listeners, would not have to go a week without listening to our ridiculous bullshit. So we are already we already do the show in a little bit of a time warp because we do the banter first and the game talk second, which is a little bit mind-bending. But we are pushing our time distortion powers to the max this time. In any case, today is also special for another reason besides when we're recording it. Instead of our usual formula, today is nothing but Q&A. We asked our fantastic listeners, which is you, for questions, and you guys did not let us down. So today, no games chat, no banter. It's just me and Corey answering every single question that you guys sent in, and we are on a little bit of a time crunch today, so we're going to get right to it. Are you ready, Corey?
I am ready.
Excellent. Okay, without further ado, we're going to get right to your Q&A. First one comes from good friend Finder. He says, what genre or type of game do you wish you liked more? Mine is party-based CRPGs, computer RPGs. Corey, what's your answer?
I already have a housekeeping note before we even get started, which makes me seem so ridiculous.
Housekeeping.
I want to make it clear before we start that I don't know about Brad, but I don't have his answers in front of me. So any organic discussion that comes up between the way we're answering things, I didn't want to read his answers before, so I don't know what he's going to say. So do you have my answers in front of you, Brad?
No, I do not. I only have my answers. So neither one of us, we don't know each other's answers. So this is off the cuff. This is legit for real. This is an actual discussion happening in real time. Although it's recorded for you, but for us, it's happening in real time.
Yes. So I just want to make that clear going in. But for mine, I thought about this for a little while, and I think the big one right now, and this is kind of maybe a silly one, is any battle royale games. Fortnite is the big one, or maybe PUBG. And it's not so much that I have this yearning to play these games. I just feel like Fortnite is such a big, it has such influential power in pop culture right now, almost in a way that Minecraft kind of did whenever it came out. People, there's so many people playing Fortnite and so much hullabaloo around it that I'm not really super duper interested in mechanically sitting down and playing it, but I feel like I'm just missing out on some kind of cultural inclusivity in this mega pop culture moment by not having played it. Which, I mean, I know I could boot it up and play it any day, but I'm just kind of too lazy and I don't feel invested enough to want to play it. But that's the immediate one that came to mind. Not so much just to play it, but just to be a part of this video game pop culture movement. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I feel that way about any game that comes out, which there's a bunch that for whatever reason get really popular. And inevitably, it's usually something that I just have zero interest in. And then I hear people talking about it on Twitter. It becomes the zeitgeist and everything. It's you got to be part of this to be part of the discussion. And then it happens all the time. So don't feel bad. I felt the same way about Fortnite. We talked about it on the show before. I played it when it first came out with the Save the World mode. I thought it was okay, but kind of dull. And then when the Battle Royale mode came out, I played that, and I'm like, okay, this is fine, but it's kind of dull. But it just fucking exploded. My son plays it for hours a day. He is so addicted to it. And I've actually been putting more time into it because he wants me to play with him. And I'm like, okay, this is one of the games that you and I can work together on. It's because it's not Minecraft, and it's not something that's just really Mindless. I mean, it's not my favorite kind of game. I don't love it, but I have been playing a fair amount just because my son likes it. But I totally get you. Like, I can't even begin to count the number of times when something cool has come out and I just don't give a shit, but you got to play it anyway or else you're just left out. So I totally hear you. As far as what type of game I wish I liked more. So Finder said that his is party-based computer RPGs. Actually, ironically enough, that is exactly what I would have picked as well. I don't like those games, and it seems like I should. Like, I think that they theoretically are my jam, but every time I try to play them, they just feel really, like, too big and too in-depth, and playing on PC is not great, so I usually have to play a console port if one ever gets ported, and I just can't get into them. I feel like I need like more action, or maybe it just needs to move a little faster, or I just don't want to spend an hour searching a room for every little item that I can pick up, and 1,000 quests, and I gotta they just feel really heavy and really big to get into, and like they feel like a task, like a really onerous kind of a thing to get into. But I really wish that I could, because I hear a lot of people talk very favorably about them. A lot of people that I respect, or a lot of people who generally we share good taste with. I wish I could get into them, and every time I play, I get really tired, and I feel like I'm overwhelmed, and I just can't get into them. So Finder, you and I are on the same page. I've heard nothing but good things about CRPGs, and I can't get into them. You say you can't get into them either, so we are in the same boat. So yes, there we go. Corey, Finder's next question: what is your favorite underwear brand?
I guess also we should make clear that some of these questions are not video game related, obviously, but we
said we would answer anything at all. Doesn't matter. Any question, we're open. We're just like, our lives are open books here. We'll answer any question. So yes, Corey, favorite underwear brand, please go.
I laughed when I saw this question, and then I immediately had a concrete answer for it, because I do have a specific kind of underwear that I love and wear like 90% of the time. It is... Target has a brand called C9. It is their athletic wear brand. It is by Champion, which is sort of like their umbrella brand. Their C9 line is specific to Target. I wear Target's C9 athletic boxer briefs. I wear that. I have to make some important distinctions here because they have a lot of different kinds of them. They have long length ones that are like kind of like lower thigh, maybe like 6 inches above the knee or something. They have regular length, which is just like, regular, I guess, like boxer brief length. And sometimes they have short ones or trunks, and they're like a little bit shorter. They're kind of like a perfect little like rectangle, kind of, if that makes sense. I wear the regular length ones because the long ones, I have some of the long ones, and the long ones like make my crotch very swampy because it like traps the heat in too much, but the regular ones don't. And also they have different kinds of them. They have a 4-pack that's cheaper. I do not like the 4-packs because they don't like pull up enough. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like the area between like my junk and my belly button, they don't go up high enough. So I usually get the 2-packs, or they might even have 1-packs, and they're a little bit expensive. I'm not going to lie. Like, they're not cheap underwear. It's not like a Hanes pack where you get like, I don't know, 6 pairs for like $10. These are like $25 for 2 pairs, but they're worth every penny. They're tight enough to keep your junk in place without like feeling like you're suffocating and that your junk's gonna fall off. They're not swampy. If you get the regular ones, they're just perfect. They're like the perfect underwear to wear. They don't ride up at all. It doesn't feel like you're wearing underwear. Like, you don't notice them there, but like your stuff is all in the right space. Like, it's not like jumbling around and in danger of, getting hurt or flopping around. I cannot recommend Target's C9 underwear that comes in the 2-packs, not the 4-packs, highly enough. I love them, and I wear them almost exclusively.
That was way more specific and way more info than I was expecting. So that was a very thorough answer. I applaud you. I have actually never tried the C9 brand, but now that you have waxed so enthusiastically over them, maybe I will check it out next time I'm at Target. I had a much simpler answer. And the word swampy was not at all in my response. I was just going to say this just regular standard Hanes boxers, which are actually not really as cheap as they used to be. I went to buy some more underwear the other day, and I was like surprised at how expensive all of it was. Which, I mean, I guess you're not buying underwear all the time, or at least I'm not buying underwear all the time. I feel like I get a pretty good amount of use out of my underwear. But yeah, they were not super cheap. But yeah, just standard boxers. The ones I wear are usually maybe I mean, I don't know, an inch or two above the knee. So they're not super short, but they're not super long. Nothing particularly fancy about them. They're just, just regular old boxers. So I guess I'm pretty simple when it comes to my underwear demands.
I didn't know. We've never discussed what kind of underwear guys we are. I didn't realize you were a boxers guy.
Yeah. And now we are just that much closer, Corey. We already shared so much, and now we've shared that as well.
We did.
We did. Okay, that's it from Finder. Thank you very much for your questions. Corey, do you want to read the next one?
Yes, this is from at Breakabone, a.k.a. Earl, on Twitter. Hello, Earl. I have met you 4 times at this point. He lives in New York. Patrick and I saw him in New York. He's been to New Orleans. No, maybe I've only seen him twice. It's irrelevant. I've seen him a few times. 3 times, I think. He has multiple questions that are video game movie related. I'm going to read through all 4 of them, and then we'll discuss them one at a time. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, so the first one is about video game movies. Why don't you think they've worked in the past? The second question is, do you see the tide turning anytime soon? The third question is, which have you seen? Did you enjoy any of them? And the fourth one is, what is a franchise you would like to see as a movie and which as a game?
You want to tag team off of each one? Let's do that. I'll answer the first one, and then you want to chime in after I give my answer?
Yes.
Okay, so why do I think they haven't worked in the past? Okay, I think that directors or producers or whoever, they see the popularity of a game. They're like, oh, wow, this game sold 10 million copies. Clearly there's a fan base. We can sell 10 million tickets. But I think when people who don't play games, who are not actual real fans, they don't understand what makes that game cool. They see the hype, or they see the excitement for it, but if they don't play, if they don't experience it for themselves in a genuine way, they don't understand what is so good about it. And if that's the case, then it's impossible to translate that to film, because if you don't know what people like about it in the first place, or what the best parts of it are, then it's impossible to get that down on film. Also, I think that when these people make these movies, they want to just give you a very surface level read. So while they may be better off taking an idea from a game, or taking a theme of a game and making its own thing from that, which we'll get to in a second, that is a much better way to go, rather than trying to replicate the video game experience on film, because you can already play a game, you can already see a game. You don't need that in a movie. What you want is something that goes deeper, or something that encapsulates the feeling of the movie. You don't really just want to see a game on a big screen like that. So I think that in general, that's why they haven't worked, because people just don't understand the games before they try to make it, and they give you a very, very surface level reading, which most often than not misunderstands what makes the game cool in the first place. Corey?
My first response is, as to why haven't they worked in the past, is because most video game stories are bad. Video game stories are not usually very good. I feel like historically, and even currently, a lot of muscle is not put into storytelling and into characters. And I mean, that's okay in a game more often than not, because say you spend 5 minutes of a 5-hour game watching cutscenes, and you spend the rest of that time actually playing the game, where there's not a lot of narrative happening. I mean, there's just a greater imbalance there. Whereas in a movie, it's narrative pretty much almost all the time, unless it's just an action movie that has a bunch of action. And I just don't think that video game stories are very good. And I feel like if you take a story that's already bad and try to put it into a medium that is almost entirely story based, it's just a recipe for disaster. And also, it's because movies and video games are 2 completely different things. I mean, movies are a passive medium. You go to a movie, you watch it, you don't participate in the story, you have no decisions or no impact on what the characters do, what the outcome is. You just go, you watch it, you leave. But with games, your input, for most games, your input is everything. The entire experience is about how you control the game, how you control the narrative, or however much you can control the narrative, and the experience of playing the game itself. And so it's hard to replicate that, or maybe impossible to replicate the feeling of having, full narrative control over a game into a movie. And at the same time, I don't like when games take so much control of the narrative that they don't let me choose like sensible things that I would choose in real life. So it kind of works both ways. If games become too movie-like, I tend to tune out. And if movies become, I guess movies don't really become too game-like because you don't play them. But it has kind of a reverse effect on whenever video games try to become too much like movies, I tend to tune out a little bit. But those are my answers for that one.
All right, next part of the question. Do you see the tide turning anytime soon? My answer, not really, because I think it takes a special kind of person to really distill the good part of a game into a film, and there are so few games that actually would make good films. But I do think we're getting less of the stinkers. It seems like people are not churning them out as quickly as they used to. It seemed to be like there was just like one every other week for a while, like just a lot of adaptations that were really crappy. So I think that maybe enough producers have taken a bath on these that we're not getting as many. But I don't necessarily think that tricky feat of taking a game and making it a good movie is getting easier or is going to ever be easier. I think it's just a very individual case-by-case basis. Corey?
I think that lately some have been getting better, and I say this having not really seen any of the recent video game movies, but like Rampage was technically a video game movie with The Rock, and the Tomb Raider reboot with Alicia Vikander was a video game movie. And from what I didn't see either of these, but they seem to be both like, not like, obviously they're not going to be like Oscar nominees or whatever, but they're both like well received enough as just kind of like silly, fun action movies. And I feel like that's sort of the key to turning the tide is, you're not going to take a video game and turn it into like a multi-Oscar and Golden Globe nominated movie. Like the odds of that happening just don't seem very high to me. So if like directors can get on board with the idea that, okay, we're taking kind of a silly popcorn video game and we're going to turn it into a silly popcorn movie, I feel like that's more of the route to go in order to make things a little more successful.
Agreed. Next question. Which have you seen? Do you enjoy any? I've seen many. I looked at a list on like Wikipedia, and there was actually a lot more than I had realized. And a lot of them, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe anybody even tried to make that a movie. So I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen the majority of what you would categorize as, game adaptations, but I've seen several. I've seen many. And do I enjoy any? The only two that I really can say that I honestly liked, I thought the first Mortal Kombat was really good. I went back and watched it, I think, last year, and it was slightly trashier than I remember, but it was still pretty good. Like, it was still pretty fun. I thought it was worth watching, and the soundtrack just really brought back a lot of memories, so that was pretty good. And actually, it's funny you mentioned Rampage, Corey, because I did see Rampage. I thought it was quite good. And it was exactly like you said. Like, it was big monsters rampaging around the city, wrecking shit. The Rock was doing his standard Rock performance, which is fine, very appropriate for the film. It just was a good time. And they had a lot of homages to the game. It wasn't a one-for-one recreation. They just took, like, the ideas and kind of did something different with it, but it still had the same spirit of the game, which I thought was great. And it was a very fun movie. We really enjoyed it a lot. So Mortal Kombat and Rampage are the two that I liked. What about you? Did you have you seen a bunch, and did you like any of them?
The ones that I could think of off the top of my head that I had seen, I've seen both the first Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie. I've seen both Mortal Kombat movies. I've seen both the Silent Hill movies. And I've seen, I think, the first 3 Resident Evil movies. I don't know if I've seen the other ones, but because there's like, I don't know, like 15 of them at this point. I think I've seen the first 3 or 4. I liked the original Tomb Raider. At the time, I thought it was really good. It's one of those movies where you go back and watch it now and you realize that it's actually really silly and really cheesy, but I liked it at the time. I also liked the second one at the time. Mortal Kombat is good. I kind of sort of firmly believe that the first Silent Hill movie is maybe the best video game movie that has been made thus far. Maybe. It's certainly not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it was pretty good. Like, it captured a lot of the spirit of Silent Hill, even though it kind of like bastardized some of the characters in it. But those are, and I do like the first Resident Evil movie. I think it was pretty good. I mean, again, probably one that if I went back and watched it today, I'd be like, ugh, this isn't as good as I remembered. But, not hot garbage by any stretch of the imagination.
All right. He's got one more final part of his question. But before we get to that final part of his question, just not to be that guy, but we got to probably do a little time check because we have a lot of questions and a lot of these questions are really good. And we've got about 45 minutes or so. So we should probably be a little peppier with these. Otherwise, we're not going to get through all of them. So
all right.
Not to cut you short, not to cut myself short. And I certainly don't want to cut our listeners short because I really appreciate getting these questions. But we just are up against a hard deadline today. So just let's keep that in mind. And if we don't wax lyrical on your question, we really, really apologize. We're going to try to get as many of these in as we can. So, final question from Earl. What franchise would you like to see as a movie and which as a game? I would like to see Vanquish as a movie. I don't think that the story is really worth telling, but I love the mechanical suit that the guy had, and I think that would make for some pretty amazing special effects action sequences. And I'm totally fine watching a special effects movie with a sci-fi robo suit and shit blowing up. I think that would be pretty fucking phenomenal. And what movie would I like to see as a game? This is a very easy one. First thing I thought of, one of my favorite movies of all time, Big Trouble in Little China. I love that movie. Love that movie. Love it. I could easily see that as being an action RPG with an emphasis on RPG, very much something like The Witcher 3 in terms of structure, where you could be like in San Francisco, open world, and you could talk to different people in the city, and then there would be like this magical underworld where you would encounter all these different monsters and ghosts and witchcraft and stuff. That sounds fucking badass. I would sign up for that in a heartbeat if anybody would make that game. Corey, what game franchise as a movie and which movie as a game?
I think franchise game as a movie, I'd probably like to see Condemned Criminal Origins done as a movie. I feel like it has a lot of potential to be...
Ooh, that would be scary.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like a horror movie. It'd be probably very Seven-ish, in my opinion. Fun fact, my senior year of college, I actually took a screenwriting class and adapted the video game as a movie in my screenwriting class. So at one point... I wrote an entire script for a Condemned movie, but I don't think I have it anymore, nor is it any good, but that's beside the point. And which movies would I like to see as games? I think I would like to see an Inception game. I think with the sort of structure of the world and the physicality of the world, that could be a really fascinating game. I also would love like an Atomic Blonde game because I love that movie.
Yeah,
and if
I could see that.
Yeah, if it were just like Charlize Theron kicking ass for... like a 6-hour game, I'd be really down for that.
Those are both really good answers. I could easily imagine both of those things working. See, we ought to be producers in Hollywood, and or we could be game producers in Silicon Valley. We would make this work. This would be good. Next question comes from Goodman, Thief of Hearts, one of my favorite dudes on Twitter. Love this guy. He sent us a slew of questions, so let's just get to these as quick as we can. He says, game or game series you wish you could enjoy more, kind of like Finder, but I think maybe more specific. Rather than genre, which specific game do you wish you could enjoy more? Corey, what is your response?
I actually didn't really have an answer to this. I was going to fall back on Fortnite and just sort of answer it as the last one, but I realized that it is like game series you could enjoy more. I thought about this, and I know there's an answer out there. I would just have to rack my brain more than I want to spend time doing to get that answer. So I apologize, but I don't have a good answer for this.
My answer, kind of almost in the same vein as the answer to Finder, but being very specific, Planescape Torment. So that is a CRPG, which I don't like playing, although I think I should like it. It's been touted as having one of the best stories in all of video gaming, and I'm very interested. I've heard nothing but raves for it from people who I really respect and trust. But it's an older game, and it's on PC only, and I tried to play it, and it was just a fucking shit show nightmare. I just couldn't... The interface was really bad. There were a bunch of mods that I couldn't figure out how to get to work. I was really frustrated because I was really bouncing off of the interface, and just not having grown up playing CRPGs, if you try to get into them now, I feel like it's a very steep hill to get over. I mean, I'm definitely console to the core, have always been console, and I just going into that type of game and that kind of environment was very challenging. And I got to say, at this point in my life, I don't have the desire to climb that particular hill. So if I had to pick one game, definitely Planescape Torment. I really, really want to get into that and have that experience, but I just feel like I can't. So there we go. Next question from Thief of Hearts. Game concept or mechanic you want to see, but never see it these days, or very rarely? Corey, your answer.
The best one I could come up with is one I've seen before, but I would like to see more of it. And this is a really bad answer, but I'm a big sucker for bullet time in games. If you can let me slow down the action and really like focus in and do that kind of thing, I really like that. And I feel like it comes and goes. And I haven't seen it lately in any games that I can think of, but I'm definitely a sucker for bullet time.
Bullet time, bullet time. For me, I like the concept of stealing parts from enemies and then using it for yourself. So it's kind of a weird one. You have to have the right setting. I mean, it's got to be some kind of like robotic or biomechanical or something like that. But there was one game that was out on the PSP a while ago, which was a tower-based game, and I can never remember what it was called, but there's not very many. I think Tower was actually even in the name. But you play this weird little biomechanical dude, and you come across enemies in this room, and every time you blew them up, you could steal their head, or you could steal their arm, or something. And like, like they would have like guns attached to their heads, or swords on their arms, or something. And like whatever you were getting your ass kicked by, like if you killed that person, you could steal that thing and use it for yourself. And I just really like the idea of like rebuilding your character as you progress through a game, like literally replacing your arm or replacing your head or replacing your chest or something like that. Really cool, very specific, kind of like Giger-esque, kind of biomechanical weird thing. Don't see it very often, but I would love a game where they really like went whole hog on that. So I would look forward to something like that. Next question. Biggest invisible issue directly involving the current game industry. A little bit of a big question here. Corey, your thought?
The one that I could think of immediately, and I hope this answers the question, is that I would just say the general cycle of game development right now, like that there's too big of budgets for games, that there's too much crunch time. The video game development space seems to be very white, male, straight dominated, and I feel like it needs to include more women and more marginalized voices. But those are the big ones I could come up with. Just like every story I read about developers in the game sphere, it seems like video game development is like the worst job ever, and I don't understand why anybody does this, because you work your ass off to make these games, and then you put it out and everybody hates you, and the video game sphere is so toxic, and that's probably the big one I could come up with. I don't know if that answers it well, but that's what I thought of.
We're kind of thinking along similar lines. Excuse me. My answer was that a little bit more specific. Sorry, I'm getting a little pollen attack here. Sip of water, sorry. I think unrealistic sales goals are stifling developmental risk-taking. So it feels like, not so much in the indie space. I feel like creativity is still strong in the indie space. But when you're talking about bigger publishers, it seems like everybody wants to have this giant hit. They've got to hit a certain sales mark, or else it's a complete failure. And I mean, that leads to people being very scared. Like, okay, well, we know this formula worked. Let's go back to this formula again, because that way we know we're going to sell X amount of copies. But then it turns out to be the exact same thing we played last time. And that's fine for a certain percentage of the population. I know some people are fine playing the same thing every year, but ultimately I think it's really unhealthy and really boring, and just really leads to a lot of stagnation. So I think that having those unrealistic sales goals really kills a lot of good ideas, kills a lot of creative gambling, creative risk-taking that would ultimately probably lead to a lot of really cool things, and may even lead to like the next big thing. But we just we can't get there because people are too scared of taking risks, so we don't end up getting those opportunities. Thankfully, the indie space is there, but I would like to see AAA developers taking more of a risk. Also, not really an invisible issue, but I do think the toxicity towards women and minorities is super, super awful. So I do think that, like I said, not invisible, but really a big issue that is very much involving and impacting the current game industry. A huge topic there, but I wanted to give just a quick shout out that that's always on my mind, and I would like to see that change for people to be more inclusive as well. Next question. Biggest overrated issue directly involving the current games industry. I didn't really have an answer for this one. I'm trying to think of something that was really overrated, which I don't think is actually a big deal, and I didn't come up with anything. Did you have an answer for this, Corey?
Yeah, I don't really think I understood the question here, so I didn't have an answer because I didn't know what an overrated issue involving game development is. Maybe I'm just dumb and I don't get it, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the issues we talk about these days are actually pretty legit, so I don't know of any that are really like, oh, that's not an issue or that's overblown. I mean, maybe there was one, but I'm not coming up with it, so I'm sorry, Thief. I don't have an answer for you. Yeah, I mean, maybe if I thought about it longer, or maybe if we had more of an example. I'm just drawing a blank. Sorry, man. We let you down on that one. But you got a couple more. Next question. What is a dumbass trend in gaming or development or in the press that you want to kill right now? Corey, what is a dumbass trend you want gone?
The first one that I can think of is people being mad at games and developers for taking hard stances on hate speech. And the first thing that comes to mind immediately is Rainbow Six Siege, because they recently rolled out a thing where if anybody playing the game uses any kind of like racial slur or homophobic slur or any sort of like hate speech that's kind of directed to marginalized groups, they like immediately ban the player for, I think it's like a half an hour, and then they let them back in, and if it happens again, they ban them again for like a day or a week or something, and then I think if they do it 3 times, they ban them forever. I think that's great. What I don't like is the assholes that get mad about it. Like, you know, if I playing video games with somebody and I call them gay as like a slur, and then I get banned and then I get mad, like it just doesn't make any sense. It's just a bunch of crybaby white boys out there who think that they can weaponize language that doesn't belong to them, and then they get mad whenever the developers retaliate, because there should not be a space in games for this kind of hate speech on a regular basis. And I wish that more developers would take a hard stance like this against sort of that kind of speech or that kind of activity and that kind of toxicity within their games. And I'm really proud of Ubisoft for doing that with Rainbow Six Siege. But that was the first thing that came to mind for me.
Also, I actually literally picked that exact thing. Although I didn't use the Rainbow Six example, but I just as in general, I was thinking of some bullshit asshole YouTubers lately who were trying to say that language is evolving, and therefore this hate speech that I'm using doesn't mean what it used to mean, and I'm using it in a different way. Therefore, I have a right to use it the way I want to. Fuck you, like both ways, upside down, 6 ways from Sunday. You fucking assholes. You don't get to do that. Anybody who pulls that card, complete fucking asshole. So yes, I picked the exact same thing. Knock it off with the fucking hate speech. We need to have zero fucking tolerance on that. So I agree with that. I also had one more. I think more of kind of like a down to earth, just kind of a gamery kind of issue. Something that's a really fucking dumbass thing that I think needs to end is these high end collector's editions that don't include the motherfucking game. There's been like 4 or 5 recently where there's like $100, $200, $300 for the prestige edition of whatever game it is. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most recent one, where they have like the plastic horse and the cowboy hat and the cap gun and then the little the recipe for tacos, and like it comes with all this stuff in it. It doesn't come with a fucking game. Why would you buy that shit if it doesn't come with a game? Completely stupid. I don't know why anybody puts up with this bullshit. That trend needs to end. Okay, let's move on. Favorite Transformer, and why isn't it Waspinator? Well, Thief of Hearts, you actually don't know that it's not Waspinator, because I love Waspinator. But before I give my Transformer heavy answer, Corey, what is your favorite Transformer, and why is it not Waspinator?
I've never been into Transformers, so I can't give a good answer. The only answer I can say, and this is the most basic-ass answer on the planet, is Optimus Prime. And the only reason I say that is because whenever I was in college, I used to go to band and drumline parties all the time, and I didn't drink when I was in college, so I would always DD. And every time I was ready to leave the party, I would say, Autobots, roll out, and that was how I like gathered the crew that I brought to the party to leave with. So I just sort of default to Optimus Prime for that.
That was amazing. Did you like assign them all different like Autobot code names?
No, I mean, if I had done that, they were usually too drunk to like really get around well. So it was just the one Autobots call, and that was it.
That would have been fucking dope if every person had their own Autobot name. That would that's a missed opportunity. That's too bad. All right, as far as I am a hardcore Transformers guy, maybe less so since having kids and having a job and stuff, but I still keep a finger on the pulse of trans fandom. My collection is redonkulous. It's absurd. So I know about Transformers. I love Transformers. Waspinator is by far one of my favorites. So I don't say that he is my favorite, but boy, he's way up there. He's like top 10 for sure. I mean, I think the answer of Optimus Prime is correct, because Optimus Prime he's fucking iconic. I mean, he is like the Transformer. Everybody loves Optimus Prime. People who don't even know Transformers know Optimus Prime. I mean, he transcends the Transformers cartoon, he transcends the toy line because he's like the ultimate example of like the good, the heroic, the fatherly, the caring, non-toxic masculinity. It's fucking Optimus Prime. He's fucking dope, dude. I mean, when I was growing up, he was like one of the two people who I looked at as like a surrogate father figure. So Optimus Prime is always the correct answer. To get a little bit more in detail, though, I really like Skylynx, who's kind of I don't know if he's really obscure, but he was from Generation 1. He was like a space shuttle that had a little cargo module that he flew around with. And he turned into like a kind of a bird-ish sort of thing and a lynx, and then he combined to make like kind of a combo animal. He was not the best Transformer, pretty janky to be honest, like he was not great. But something about his design just really always stuck with me. I just thought it was so cool that he was like a shuttle with this box, and then they came apart, and then they came back together, and when you put them together as the combo unit, I always thought it was really interesting and neat. Because he kind of retains some of his space shuttle characteristics as an animal. I don't know, just something about him. He's like, he's honestly kind of a shitty toy, but I just liked him in general, like the concept of him. And also, I got to take the easy answer, and basically all of Beast Wars is amazing to me. It's all my favorite. I was actually talking to my son about this the other day, and I'm not shy to say, I own literally every Beast Wars toy that has ever been created in America. So I have a pretty amazing collection of Beast Wars. I'm a big Beast Wars fan. It would be impossible for me to pick a favorite out of that because, it's impossible. But all the Beast Wars, including Waspinator, is the best. So there you go. Thank you very much for those questions, Thief. Corey, you want to read the next one?
Yes. This is from On Lade, who is... You noted a long-time Game Critics reader, Rob Scott.
Good guy, Rob Scott. Good guy. And in fact, he actually, little known fun fact, he was actually in the running to become a possible podcast host when Tim stepped down. So he was very close to actually being the next Game Critics podcast host. We ultimately went with Dylan Collins, and Dylan was a great guy, no longer with us. Rest in peace. But Rob is a great guy, and I think he probably would have done a great job as well. So there you go. Fun fact. But what is his question, sir?
His question is, what are the areas in games or gaming that have seen the most improvement since the last generation, in your opinions?
This was a tough one because I don't feel like many things have changed since the last generation. And some things that have changed have not been great. I think like... more like the shift towards online I'm not super excited about, and about how the ship it now patch it later is just getting worse and worse, and those sort of things. But if one thing that definitely did improve is VR. I think nobody can argue that VR has taken a big step up this generation. It's actually a thing now. It's actually a thing you can buy. It works really well. I personally don't care about it, but like if I had to pick one thing that was a clear step up, I think VR is the obvious answer. Otherwise, I am happy to see that indies are still they're kind of making like a mini comeback on platforms, on consoles and stuff. I know they've always kind of been there, but it felt like they were kind of dipping away for a while, which was kind of sad to see. But I think they've come back strong, especially with the Switch. I feel like indies are back, and they are better than ever. So that's a good thing that I feel like has improved slightly since the last gen. But overall, I think VR is the biggest step up. What about you, man?
All right, I've got a few short answers. My first and my most ridiculous specific answer is... eyebrow movement and facial animations.
Whoa, that is hyper specific. I love it.
I know. And it's because facial animations obviously have come a long way, but that's like a graphical thing. But I feel like a lot of games now are doing eyebrows well, with like furrowed brows and surprised brows and just good facial animations for characters, because like eyebrows are incredibly expressive to the human face, and a lot of games focus so much on the mouth movement for voice acting, or maybe like just the eyes squinting a little bit, that the eyebrows are left completely out. And eyebrow movement has become better this generation. That's my specific answer. A couple other shout outs. Just overall storytelling in games is getting better. The longer games go on, the more I feel like developers are realizing that strong characters and important stories are something that needs to take precedence in gaming now. So we're seeing a lot more focus on writers and directors and producers, rather than just the game looking as good as it can, or like the game being 50 hours long. Like that's one. And my last one is just inclusivity of indie games, kind of piggybacking off yours, but also about like non-traditional gaming. Like when I think this, obviously I'm thinking about walking simulators because that's like totally my jam. But like, I feel like 10 years ago, if you had put out a walking simulator on the Xbox 360, people would have been like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this garbage? Like, you're just walking around looking at things and the game is over. Like, this is dumb. And some people still think that about those games now, but now you're getting, because PC games and console games are getting so much closer to merging, they are able to take this genre that's kind of been around on PC for a while and make them come over to consoles a lot easier. So just like the inclusivity of games that aren't, just games where you're shooting 100 people and the game's over, or games where you're climbing. Like, I like that walking sims and indie games that are just non-traditional have been allowed a better space and have gained more of an audience on the new consoles.
Those are great answers, man. I'm very impressed with those answers. I especially love that eyebrow answer, dude. That's a really good call out, man. I mean, I think you're totally right. It didn't occur to me, but now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, dude, absolutely. Like, eyebrows have been ignored for way too long. I think you're 100% right. Serious, for sure.
Now,
serious.
Every game that anybody plays after they listen to this show going forward, they're going to just be looking at people's eyebrows the entire time in the game and waiting for those eyebrow movements whenever they talk.
Be the change you want to see in the world, and we are about that change. We are about the eyebrow change here at So Video Games. Next question comes from good man, friend of the show, Warframe aficionado Michael Pren, good man over in Louisiana. He says, if you could magically change the way all people everywhere viewed you, what would you change? So a non-video game question. Corey, if you could magically change that, the way people viewed you, what would you change?
Okay, this is one of those really deep soul-searching questions that I had a hard time grappling with, and this answer is kind of maybe a little shallower than I would like it to be, and I...
Oh, no. I have the shallowest answer, trust me.
Okay. Well, my immediate answer to this was sort of like... I don't know, it's hard to say this because I feel like whenever I say it, it's going to sound bad, but I'm going to try to backpedal to explain myself, and... The immediate thing that I would want everyone to change their view about is just about upon learning or discovering that I am gay, to maybe rid themselves of any stereotypes that they consider about gay people. Because I live my life, I'm a gay man, I'm not trying to hide it. But I'm also not the kind of person that when I shake your hand and meet you for the first time, I don't say, hi, my name's Corey, I'm gay. I'm not... It's a part, being gay is obviously a part of me, but it's not who I am. Right. And I'm obviously I don't think I'm living some top secret life where everybody that meets me immediately thinks I'm straight. I feel like for most people, it's pretty obvious that I'm gay when they meet me. But what I don't like is all of these sort of stereotypes that come along with being gay. If I meet someone and then they discover I'm gay a week later, and they didn't realize it beforehand, or I hadn't mentioned it beforehand, I don't want them to immediately think oh, this guy must like baking, and he must like makeup, and he must like girly things, feminine things. I don't want that. I want those stereotypes to kind of be, I don't know, just gone. I don't want gayness to be stereotyped, that kind of stuff. I mean, sort of with lesbians, I'm sure that not all lesbians love being categorized into women who like hiking and who like outdoorsy stuff and working in car. It's just really lame, shallow stereotypes like that. Because I wear makeup sometimes, but also I know how to shoot guns. I have a motorcycle and I ride it. I just like the balance of masculinity and femininity within anyone, gay or straight. So I feel that's sort of the overarching answer for me is just if I could change anything about the way people view me, they would not learn I'm gay and then immediately stereotype me into this box of feminine gay things that they've learned from pop culture and TV.
You don't want people to come to you for interior decorating advice, basically.
I mean, I would be awful at that. If they want to come to me for fashion advice, I could probably help, but interior design, absolutely not.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I hear you, and I think that is a very fair answer. My answer, okay, yours sounds deep and introspective compared to my fucking answers. My answer would be, number one, I would like people to think that I was taller than I am. Number two, I would like people to think that I had tighter abs than I do. And I think that I would like people to view my teeth as 2 shades lighter than they are, because I've been a hardcore coffee drinker for probably more than 20 years. And that has a toll. So my teeth look okay, but I would like them to be 2 shades whiter. So that's basically it. I mean, maybe that's a good answer, maybe it's not, but I feel pretty good about myself and I feel good about where I'm at. And Generally, just pretty happy with my whole situation. I mean, the abs could be tighter. I could be taller. Teeth could be whiter. But other than that, I'm totally fine. So I think that's pretty much my answer. Hopefully that will satisfy you, Michael. Thank you very much for the question. Corey, what is the next question on our docket?
This one is from Mai Sinclair, frequent commenter of our shows on Twitter.
I love Mai. She's great. She's the best.
Indeed. She asks, what game in your life has had the greatest impact on you, either as the most emotionally moving or actually changed your life in some way?
I was thinking about this for a long time, and I wanted to have a different I have one stock answer that I always talk about. I'm sure I've talked about it on the show before. I wanted to have a fresh answer. But I was thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And, like, apart from certain games which have affected my life by making me lose too much sleep and exhausting me and making me have poor performance at work, which I don't quite think is the right answer to go with, there haven't been a lot of games that have really, like, touched me emotionally. Like, very few have really... I mean, I have appreciated them, and I have liked them, and I've, been on journeys with them and liked the stories. But, like, it's very rare that I will walk away from a game and feel like I am changed as a person, or it made me think about something, like, in a different way, or something that really gets to me as a human being. Pretty rare. I know that it's happened, but goddamn if I couldn't think of a single fucking thing to say. So... I have to fall back on my stock answer, and I apologize. I know you guys have probably heard this before if you listen to the show, but I keep coming back to Clock Tower, where you know the story I'm going to tell, right, Chloe?
Oh my God. Did I hear this story in person the first time you told it, or was it on a podcast?
Probably both, because it's really the only... Every time somebody asks me this question, this is my stock answer, and I feel bad, but I'm going to roll it out again anyway. Clock Tower on PS1, I think it was... where you play, Clock Tower is really
it's a classic.
Cheesy. Yeah, it's a classic Japanese horror game where you play as a group of teenage... Actually, the structure of this game is actually really fascinating. We should talk about this sometime, because you play as a group of kids, and if the kids get killed, the story progresses, and there's, like, so many different endings and so many different branching paths. It's actually a way more sophisticated game than people give it credit for. It's not just slasher horror. I mean, I think that the branching narrative is pretty good, and it's something that really is worth some examination. But you play as a group of kids who are escaping a slasher killer called Scissor Man, who, surprise, surprise, has a giant pair of scissors. And there's one particular building where there's elevators, and you got to go back and forth between floors on the elevator. And sometimes Scissor Man will come and attack you in the elevator, or sometimes not. And once in a while, you'll see him in the hallway. You'll jump in the elevator, and you'll push the button, and then you got to hope that the doors are going to close before you go to the next, before he gets you, right? And sometimes, if he's close enough, he'll stick his scissors through the crack of the elevator doors and get you. Sometimes he won't. It's really stressful, because you don't know what's going to happen. And ever since playing that game, like, literally every time I get in an elevator, every single time, for, like, the last, like, probably, like, 18 years or something like that, I always think, are these doors going to close fast enough to stop Scissor Man from stabbing me? And then when I get inside an elevator, I push the number button, like whatever floor I'm going to, and then I wait, and I immediately count how long before these doors start closing. If the doors start closing immediately, it's a good elevator. If you push that button and the doors kind of pause, I'm like, oh, bad elevator. And then I jam the door close button. And if the doors don't immediately start closing when you hit the door close button, that is a fucked up, dangerous, like, taking life in your own hands elevator. You got to get out of that elevator. It's a bad elevator. So literally every time, every day, nonstop without fail, for my entire life since playing Clock Tower, I am paranoid about, like, how fast the doors close in an elevator. Literally every time. So that's probably the biggest impact a game has ever... So trauma, basically, PTSD. Traumatized. That's the biggest impact on me. Corey, what about you? I hope it's a happier impact than the one I just described.
I have a couple. I mean, actually, I have three. The first one will be quick. The biggest emotional impact I think that a game has ever had on me is playing Silent Hill 2, which is my favorite game of all time. It's one of the very few games I've played in my life where I firmly believe that you have to have a lot of life experience whenever you play it in order to fully understand it and get it. And the first time I played it, I did myself a disservice because I was like 12 the first time I played it, and I didn't really understand what the game was, and I didn't really like it a whole lot. But years and years later, I played it and understood what the game was about, and it sort of had a heavier gravity for me, and I was a mess after I played it. I sat in front of my TV and cried for like an hour after I played it because it was just such a powerful story to me. So that's the most emotionally, like, I guess, like, responded I've been to a game that really, like, fucked me up. And a couple other ones that are on happier notes. No surprise, Deus Ex Human Revolution. I am obsessed with that game. I literally think about it every single day of my life. I have a half-sleeve tattoo that is inspired by Deus Ex Human Revolution. After playing it, it really changed my ideas about design, about visual design, about the game, about the way things look in the game, about fashion, about colors. I just love it, and it really informed a lot of my views and influenced sort of like fashion decisions and decor decisions and stuff like that going forward. I still see stuff to this day, and if it's like a black and gold, like, you know, polygonal like candle holder, I'll be like, oh, Deus Ex, like immediately, and my mind is always there because the game had such a strong it had such a strong visual design that was really cohesive with the entire world, and I think it's a really difficult thing to get in games, and I loved it. The other one is Mirror's Edge, which, for obvious reasons, I did parkour in college. Now I photograph parkour a lot. Mirror's Edge is not the reason I got into parkour, but it definitely kind of happened around the same time I was getting into parkour. For a while when I was doing parkour in college, I wore the color red a lot dominantly, and red is a dominant color in the game, so that informed some of my like decisions on clothing at the time. So both of those games have had positive, sort of everlasting impacts on my life.
Excellent, good answers, very good answers. Yeah, I do feel you on the Deus Ex Human Revolution. That is a fantastic game. Like, I also was, I mean, not to the degree that you were affected, of course, but I was very impressed with the visual design, and I think it's a very stylish, a very singular game that even the other games in that series have failed to live up to. I think that was definitely a very good pick and a very, very noteworthy installment, just kind of in games and in terms of style. Something definitely worth looking at. So that's a really good answer. Okay, quick time check. We've got about 15-ish minutes before we have to pull the plug. We've only got 2 questions left. Two people with questions left, but one of them is pretty big, so we're gonna have to we're gonna do our best here. The next question comes from rhigh777, who is a good guy. Talk to him very often on Twitter. Love this guy. He says, I'll do the small question first. What is your criteria for picking the next game on your backlog to play? Corey, what is your criteria?
Mine is whatever I feel like playing next, I play it.
That is also my answer. But I also want to add on, if developers or publishers send us codes, or if there's something going on at Game Critics that needs coverage, I will try to prioritize those things and talk about them on the show if I can, if we have an extra code, or if there's, if I'm going to cover it on, like, for review, maybe I'll also talk about it. So if there's something that I can somehow work into, grist for the So Video Games mill, then I will try to prioritize that. And recently, especially over the last couple of weeks, I've definitely been playing things that I really didn't want to play, but I figured it would be a good play for the show, and so I've talked about a number of those things. It's usually the ones that I end up not liking, and I talk about for 5 minutes, and I move on. But yeah, basically, whatever I'm in the mood for, and that's more or less my only criteria. There's no real other criteria for that. Okay, so now the big question, and probably the biggest question of the show, also from rhigh777, says, probably a tough one, but can both of you give us your top 10 games of all time? Yes, he drops the bomb. He drops the big one. He asks the major question of any games writer anywhere. Can you give us your top 10 games of all time? Now, full disclosure, I keep a running list of my top 10 games of all time, and I have previous iterations. Like, I could go back probably for 10 years and tell you what my top 10 games were of that year. I keep a pretty good list because I think that's really useful exactly for situations like this. So I have a very updated list, and I spent a lot of time last night. I just realized I hadn't updated my 2018 list in a while, and I'm like, this feels like the wrong list. I feel like there's many games on here that should be here that aren't here. Thought about it, and I finally came up with a much better list. So I got a good list to go. Corey, do you have a top 10 list you can roll out here?
I have 10 games I'm prepared to name. I have my top 3 is pretty definitive, but the rest are just kind of like there, not really ranked in any way. And also I could maybe like sub some like runners up in and out of them, but I do have 10 prepared to talk about right now.
All right, let's go through this pretty quickly so I feel like we can get all the questions in if we get through this quickly. So let's do your top 10. Just run through them, 10 to 1 or whatever order you want to do, and give us like one sentence for each of them why they're there, and then I think that'll be a pretty decent coverage.
All right, my top 3, my definitive top 3 should come as no surprise because I've already talked about all of them on the show already. Favorite game of all time, Silent Hill 2. My second favorite game of all time is Deus Ex Human Revolution. My third favorite game of all time is Mirror's Edge. The rest, 4 through 10, are kind of neither here nor there ranked, but I'll just read through them. Fallout 3, Mass Effect 2, Resident Evil 2, Perfect Dark, Superhot, Condemned Criminal Origins, and Hitman Blood Money.
All right, give us like one sentence on each of those. Why do you pick those, just real quickly?
I'm going to do the 4 through 10. Fallout 3 because I spent like 100 plus hours. That might not seem like a lot to a lot of people, and it's not a lot to some people. I spent about 100 plus hours playing all of it and all the DLC. I love it. One of the few game franchises that I've considered getting a tattoo for, but I have not yet. Mass Effect 2, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I believe it's the best in the series. I loved building the relationships with all the characters in the game, which is a big focus on the game and the real big narrative focus of it. Resident Evil 2, because it is magical. I don't know what else to say. I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. I love classic Resident Evil, fixed camera Resident Evil, and I think it's the best of that bunch. Perfect Dark, because I played it. I think it's better than GoldenEye. People remember GoldenEye more fondly, but Perfect Dark is a better game. It has a strong female protagonist. Played it for hours and hours and hours and hours on N64 back in the day. Superhot, because it is the most original game I've played probably in a decade, and it's one of those games where if I have someone over at my house who might not even be a big gamer, I'm always like, hey, have you heard of Superhot? Have you played it? You've got to play this game. And there's not very many games I can do that with people. Condemned Criminal Origins, because it is an amazing first-person survival horror game. Incredible combat, incredibly visceral, really grim. Love it. Hitman Blood Money, the best, minus maybe new Hitman 2016. I think it's the best Hitman has ever been. I played it a lot. I just love the Hitman franchise because it offers me something I can't get anywhere else as far as the mission structure and the open world design and the getting in and getting out without anybody ever knowing you were there or going guns blazing if you want. And I think Hitman Blood Money is phenomenal.
Fantastic. Good answers. That's a very solid top 10. I will go to my top 10 and I will read them in like reverse order. So starting with 10. Number 10, Marvel Puzzle Quest. I have put more time into that game than any other game in history, which is quite a bit of time. I think despite the fact that it's an iOS game and it's also kind of a free-to-play sort of a game, the mechanics are really astounding. The developers have gone above and beyond, improving it like year after year. It's a great use of the license, and it has just killed so much time for me in such a good way. Like I think it's a fantastic match 3, one of the best match 3s, I think, that's ever been made. Really enjoy that very much. Number 9 would be Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney on 3DS. Visual novel with everyone's favorite attorney, Phoenix Wright. The story was really strong. I think that the character was really interesting. The premise of just being an attorney was very interesting. And really iconic. I think that first game just ended up really influencing a lot of people and having a very strong presence. And also the final case in that game was just like, it was breathless. Like I was on the edge of my seat, waiting to see what was going to happen, how it turned out. I mean, there were so many good moments, and despite being a visual novel, like it was pulse pounding. Like I could not click the text fast enough and get through it. It was just really, really great. I will always love that last case in Phoenix Wright. So amazing. Number 8 is one we discussed. Well, we discussed just a minute ago, but for listeners, it was a week ago. West of Loathing on Switch. That one is a very recent entry, but I feel like it's very worth it. I don't award perfect 10s very often, but this one got a perfect 10 for good reason. I think the writing is phenomenal, extremely funny, extremely clever. Game design was very smart. I was never bored, literally never bored. I did basically every quest I could possibly do. I did everything, and when I was done, I still wanted more. It was a fantastic experience. One of the best RPGs I think I've ever played, for sure. Number 7, Monster Hunter as a series. If I had to pick one specific entry, I probably would pick Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on the PSP. But Monster Hunter overall, I've always loved like the idea of focusing on really intense combat as the central part of a game, where it's very strategic, very moment to moment. It requires skill, but it also requires a lot of strategy, a lot of pre-planning. And the monsters are always like big and imposing and scary. And when you get together with friends, like that's a really singular experience. I mean, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that has not been replicated. I know other games have tried to horn in on it, but I haven't seen anything that has come close yet. Number 6, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. Love Geralt. I love Witcher 3. I mean, it's a massive game. There's so much content, so much to do, so much to see, and all of it is really, really good. I did literally every quest in that game because I didn't want to miss out on anything, and it was worth doing. I was never bored. I thought it was... the storytelling was great. Characterizations were great. I mean, every quest had a twist, and I mean, it was just like front to back. Like, it was just one of the best RPGs I think ever made. I mean, I don't know how they're going to outdo that with Cyberpunk. I mean, I hope they try, but The Witcher 3 is head and shoulders above so much else out there. It's just a phenomenal piece of work. Number 5 would be Helldivers on PS4. Probably, for me, the best co-op game ever made. I think it's incredibly intense, really fast-paced, really brutal and deadly, but when you get together with your friends, and I played with my wife and my son, that was an amazing experience. I love the art direction. I love the mechanics of it. I couldn't get enough of that game. We did basically everything in that game. Got all the achievements and everything. I mean, it was just like wonderful. I mean, wonderfully produced, and I'm really looking forward to what those developers do next. Number 4, Darkest Dungeon. Wonderful game that I maxed 100%. One trend with me is like, if I really love a game, I will 100% it. Like, I don't do that often, and I'm not a completionist at heart. But for games that really click, I love to do everything in them. And Darkest Dungeon is one where I did literally every single thing that you could do. Great mechanics, great art design, great themes. Everything about it is perfect. I love Darkest Dungeon so much. Number 3, Fallout New Vegas. So a little bit of Fallout love, not 3, but New Vegas. I thought the quests and the writing were just fantastic. So much to do, so much to see, so worthwhile to explore. So many memorable characters. I mean, everything about it was just great. I had a blast playing that game. I loved it so much. And that is definitely, for me, my favorite of all the Fallout games. Number 2, Demon's Souls. Had to have some kind of Souls on here, and I think Demon's is the best because I think the story is the best. It's the most approachable, the most coherent. The ending is phenomenal, and it really did set the stage for everything to come. I know people give Dark Souls the credit for really pushing this series into the limelight, but I think that Demon's Souls is really, honestly, the better game. So I will always love that one forever. That is definitely my favorite. And number 1, again, a little bit of synergy here with you, Corey. Mass Effect as a trilogy, probably my favorite thing in all of gaming. If I had to pick one game, I probably would pick number 1. I do like the character, the loyalty quests and getting to know those characters in the second game. I think those are really strong. But I think the main story was incredibly weak in number 2, and I really didn't like the direction they took. So, like, the moments were good. The vignettes were good, but like overall as a game, I thought it really stumbled pretty hard. But if I had to pick just one, Mass Effect number 1 for me is perfect, despite some of the mechanical problems. It told a complete story. It felt like a very fast-paced kind of sci-fi space opera. Characters are great, super memorable. I mean, I love being on that moment when you have to decide what you're going to do with Rex and like what you're going to do with all your other characters. I mean, just everything at the end when it becomes kind of an action game. Like, it was so great. Everything about Mass Effect is wonderful. So those are my top 10. Yeah, and I think we're almost to the end of the show, almost to the end of the content. We only have one more question, but Corey, what did you think of my top 10? Any surprises? Anything taken aback?
I am a little bit surprised. I know you've praised West of Loathing so much, but I sort of have a thing where I have to like play a game and then wait like a year or so before I can really decide if it's worthy of being on my top 10. And I think the newest game on my top 10 is super hot. And even now I'm like, I mean, I played that game like 2 or 3 years ago. And now I'm like, is it too soon? Is it too soon to put this on my top 10? But at this point, I don't think it is. So I'm a little surprised that you're, I don't know, that West of Loathing is already, like, you just played that game and it's already on your top 10.
It's pretty phenomenal. But I did have those same concerns. I was actually asking myself if it was too soon. But as I was going through my list last night, I did notice that some of the things on there felt pretty outdated. Where, I mean, even taking West of Loathing out of the equation, looking at what I did have, I'm like, some of these I just don't feel anymore. And so I needed to, maybe put them on a, honorable mention or something list. But like, I had a gap, and I'm like, well, I think West of Loathing it is new, but I really loved it. I think that critically it's amazing, and I did love what it did mechanically. So it may be a little bit new. I do concede that point for sure. But I think the stuff that I got off just didn't deserve to be there anymore. And I didn't want to have only 9. So I think I'm going to roll with that for now. I I feel pretty good about it, though. I feel pretty good about it, but I hear your concerns. That's a valid point. Okay, thank you for the questions, R. Hayes777. Final question of the show, and which is perfect because we're almost out of time. Phil Holmes, who is P Holmes 122, says, Corey, what's for lunch?
Oh, I mean, to be completely honest, today I didn't eat lunch yet. I shoved a donut in my face before recording today, and I have iced coffee in front of me. So if that counts, then that was lunch today.
Donut and iced coffee. That sounds like a pretty good lunch. I hear that. As for me, I had a little bit of a cold cuts plate earlier with some hummus and some Greek olives, a little bit of macaroni salad, and some Lebanon bologna. So that was a pretty good little plate, but there wasn't a lot left, so I kind of just like ate what was left of each of those things. So that was pretty tasty. But I think for lunch proper, I hate to say it, but Taco Bell, I guess, because I got to go. And I've got like 5 minutes to get to work, so I think I can probably make a quick run for the border and then be on my way. So today, it's Taco Bell. Thank you very much for the question, Phil. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that, but there you go. And not to rush things, but I got to rush things, and this brings us to the end of the show. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks, everybody, for those questions. I love answering questions like this. I know we don't do Q&A shows all the time, but when we do, I think it's really fun. Did you have a good time with this, Corey?
Yeah, we had some pretty excellent questions. I was telling Patrick last night, I was like, wow, people really ask like some good questions this time around. So thank you, everyone who submitted some questions. We appreciated it and hopefully answered them to your approval.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. We have great listeners. We have great fans. I'm really thankful for the fan base that we have. And those questions were really good. I really like those questions a lot. So thanks again. And I'm pretty sure we answered all of them. I think we did. If we missed you, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure we got everybody. So good times. Thanks again. But now we got to go. So please remember, if you want to send us more questions for the future, or if you have thoughts, feedback, anything else you'd like to send us, you can always reach out to us. sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com. You can also post comments for us at Game Critics after the show goes up there. We are on Twitter at SoVideoGames as a collective, but you can also reach out to us individually, which is probably more effective. My Twitter handle is also my Instagram handle. It's BRADGALLAWAY, all A's, no O's. Corey, where can people find you on Twitter and Instagram?
My handles are also my first and last name, Corey Motley, COREYMOTLEY.
Excellent. Please reach out if you've got the notion. And that's going to bring us to the end of another So Video Games. We will be back next week with another installment, and I think we will be back with our regular format next time. But for now, this is bye from Brad.
And bye from Corey. We will see you guys next time.
Bye.